Hey guys, so welcome to this week's YouTube video. So we had some great news this week about success in the FEP awards with myself, Daragh Muldowney, who does tours for ExploreLight, and Thor who we also work with in ExploreLight. So we're going to really get into some detailed discussion about what images did well, subjectivity in awards programs, and some really kind of in-depth image analysis. So if you like what follows, make sure to leave us a comment, give us a like, subscribe to the channel. So we're going to jump into it by just first of all showing you a little slideshow of some of the images that were successful. So if all you're looking for is to see some images that hopefully give you some inspiration and you like, you can just watch the slideshow that's about to kick in. But if you'd like a bit more info about the work, a bit more critique and a bit more general discussion about awards programs, keep watching. Myself, Daragh and Thor caught up for an extensive conversation, let's call it, online. Hope you enjoy, guys. Jump in. Thanks a million. Take care. So just in terms of, the cracks and stuff there, like, does it actually look like that? Or like, have you done something crazy in Photoshop? Because the foreground just looks mental.
Well, it does look like that. I mean, in my processing, I did apply a little bit of clarity across the ice to help it jump out without applying it to the sky using a brush, which I think helps those cracks become more defined. I would have also brought the shadows and the blacks down a little bit and the highlights and the whites up a little bit to just enhance the cracks that are actually there in the ice.
The light, I think, for me at least anyway, having the grey light, like, yeah. I know your style anyway, you kind of like that stuff looking a little bit more muted and things like that. And actually that grey overcast sky works amazingly well with it also.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was looking for these were the type of conditions that I wanted to shoot almost all the trees. I mean, not continue to be a bit boring for the book and the project to have it all the same, but I got excited when it was these sort of conditions. And particularly when I was getting the foreground with this good in the foreground with that sky, I was just, oh yeah, that's all coming together. Definitely gets you excited.
So basically what you're saying is you want grey, crappy light and everybody else wants beautiful.
There's a bit of that. There's definitely a bit of that,
yeah. This definitely suits the image quite well.
Yeah, I agree. Totally, dude. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it's such a minimal sort of space. And, normally if you're shooting something this flat in the foreground, it wouldn't have this much detail. So it's quite unusual to have that amount of insane foreground in a kind of flat kind of water space, which...
Yeah.
There's another image I have later on, which we can cut to in a bit, that is sitting in, which looks like water actually, but the cracks just, I guess it's one thing. And we experienced it this year when we were there, that 95% of the lake was covered in snow, and the snow was beautiful. You have fresh snow, but seeing the cracks it just makes it a completely different style of image.
It cracks you up.
Yes,
you crack me up. You crack me up. Okay, let's go on. So that was Daragh from Lake Baikal. That was your, I guess, the highest scoring image that you had in the submission, and pretty stunning pick as well. So let's come on to another one. Oh my God, who took this? This looks bloody awful.
Hang on. No, it's great. It is a beautiful image. The minimal, so minimal, it's lovely with the colours. So are you going to tell us a bit about this one, Peter?
I guess so. So this was a picture that took in Lofoten. What year was it, Toti? Was it last? It was 2019.
I think it was last year. I missed out on this opportunity because I was helping the participants in the workshop.
And I was just like, screw them, I'm out of here. I'm going to this. He was actually just looking to go to the garage.
Yeah, I guess.
What, to get a beer?
Hamburger.
So,
Are the colours of the houses that red and yellow and all that? Are they?
Well, the color of the houses are definitely very red and yellow. What I've done actually is I've just sort of lifted the color part of the image a little bit and just given it a little bit of contrast, and then just kind of decontracted and pulled the rest back. It's something I definitely like to do with my editing quite a bit, is to bring contrast to a specific area. And it was a really just like crappy day, low cloud. Actually, that peak, it's fair to say, Thor, would you, that you don't normally see it like that? It was the myth.
Yeah, that's the thing. What people who hasn't been there may not realize that behind this peak is a huge mountain, but due to the cloud conditions, this represents itself there. And it only lasted for a few minutes.
Yeah.
So.
And I did. Just to be fair, there was a slight hint of a line behind it, which I've just softened a little bit in the processing. So, the processing wasn't, it was just about getting the contrast into the colorful area, getting it nice and high key, and it was just fortuitous, I guess, that those clouds, like Thor was saying, were just perfect that day. So that was pretty good.
Did you have to work anything into the reflections to try and bring the reflection out a bit more, or was it fully
there? It was just fully there, all the way from the shooting point all the way over to the bank. Just fully
nice.
there.
Yeah, it's a great image.
Thanks.
It's really good.
Thank you. So here we go. So Thor, before you tell us about this image, I want to tell you a story about this image, okay?
Okay.
So this is an image of Thor to Northern Iceland, but it's an image that we've used to promote the trips to Northern Iceland that myself and Thor run together. And I constantly getting compliments on this picture, say, "Oh my God, I absolutely love this picture, Peter. You've taken your work to a new level." And actually, it's Thor's picture. Is there anything else you like?
Was it shot on the tour where you guys were together there, or was it shot in a previous tour?
This is probably shot in 2016, I believe.
Okay.
And so tell us a bit about it, Toti. Where was it? Where was it shot? Stuff like that.
Well, you've been there before, and there is basically like this one prime spot to shoot this waterfall from, in my opinion, to have the waterfall dead in the center of the image. But what kind of was unusual in this case that I haven't honestly seen many times after this is that we got this frozen river, like on the left-hand side where the river flows from the waterfall. That is frozen on this image, as you can see. But, it doesn't happen that often. And that kind of creates this bowl shape.
Oh, I see. So is there water coming out on the left and the right, or just the left?
No, just the left.
Okay.
So
this is what we're talking about, guys. You can see where the arrow is just
yeah
there.
So that's normally an exit point for the water flow to come out.
Yeah. And that kind of I can't remember if I ever got these conditions ever since, but bear in mind, I'm not there every day. So also the color of the water is like normally in the wintertime, the color of the water is way more bluish than it is, for example, in the springtime when we have the meltwater coming down. It can actually get quite brownish.
All right. Yeah.
So I kind of hit the jackpot there, I have to say.
What time of year is this?
Yes, it's a good question. I can't remember. This is probably some October, December, January, February. I can't remember.
So anywhere from October to end of February.
Yeah.
Winter. It's winter time.
It's winter time. Yeah.
And so conditions are amazing. I presume, it looks like there's a bit of movement in the clouds. It looks like quite a long exposure. Maybe looks like
it's probably a six stopper with probably a half a minute 30 seconds to a minute or something like that. Can't remember.
Yeah. It looks awesome.
I don't have the active here with me.
Cool, awesomeness. And just so before we leave this guy, can we give out the name of the waterfall, because I can't pronounce it?
Aldeafoss. This is honestly one of my favorite waterfall in all of Iceland. Just the settings around, the surroundings are just spectacular, as you can see.
Daragh, or Daragh, as you're occasionally known.
Yeah, I'm known in Europe as Daragh. Yeah,
in Daragh, and yeah.
I'll answer to anything. I'll answer whatever you want to call me. I'll be all right with it.
Okay. So, tell us a little bit about this. Where was it taken?
This was taken off the coast of Brittany, near Saint Nazaire. And it's kind of interesting. I was scouting a photo tour for ExploreLight, and I went from Mont Saint Michel and went all the way around the coast and down past Brest and down into Saint Nazaire. And this is just south of Saint Nazaire. These little fishing huts, they're called carrelettes, and they're dotted around the coast all the way down, even down as far as Bordeaux. And they're just fascinating structures that are used for a functional way, and they all just sit like their own little sculptures sitting out just not far off the coast in shallow water. And they fish they drop these big nets down during the high tide, and the guys will stay out there fishing while the high tide passes, and then they'll come back in from mid tide back in again.
All right, so there's no water around them on a low tide.
Some of them have water around them, some of them don't. But yeah, like there's not enough water around them at low tide to fish it. And they have more water around, and they just stay for the 6 hours pretty much from mid tide to mid tide. Yeah. And I'm sure drinking one or two beers and chilling out and fishing away.
I love the simplicity of it, the striking sort of shape. I love how the right mast is sort of mirrored by the left mast. There's a beautiful synergy between them. And you've kind of gone with, a low saturation sort of look to it, and then the blue pops out. Is that a reasonable description? Yeah,
but you're right. The blue is what I wanted to be the feature, even though it's further away and smaller. Your eye has been drawn to that blue fishing hut more than the one in the foreground. And yet the one in the foreground is, when you look at it closely, there's all these ropes and mess and kind of an organized chaos that works, and they kind of have a partnership, the two of them together.
Yeah, awesome.
And I used a 10-stop Lee Big Stopper, and it was a perfect day. I was kind of lucky that I didn't have, when I was exploring these particular fishing huts, I was lucky I didn't have a blue sky. Now, blue skies is grand. You can get nice images of the blue skies as well. But I particularly like the overcast, the white clouds, the kind of...
Have we seen a pattern emerging here, Toti?
I hate blue skies.
I know you don't like blue skies, but this is like this is definitely the muted grey. I mean, I like the muted grey.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It's a muted grey works if you have something strong in the foreground to make it work.
Yeah.
So Daragh wants muted grey, I want pastel, and Toti wants, aka Thor Photography, wants powerful energy in the cloud. Is that a reasonable description of everybody?
Well, yeah, like if you just think about it, Peter, we see in colors. We're not colorblind, are you?
Anyway.
Well, this was good. I really like this one.
Well, thank you, Toti. I'm glad you like it, mate. It's a shot from a beach in Torridon in the Highlands of Scotland, or just north of Torridon, should I say, a place called Mellon. And you can actually see, if you notice on the right corner, do you see the white on the beach? That's like hailstones. It was like hail, thunderous wind. And one of those things, I don't know, we've had a few of these experiences together over the years. What kind of springs to mind for me, Thor, is, the plane wreck, one of the first shoots we ever did together. That time in Faroes where we had that savage light and, thunderous rain engulfs you. It's so powerful,
Yeah.
And this was a bit like that, in terms of, it was just hail and wind. But I actually then decided I enjoyed it so much that I needed to process it nice and gentle and soft, which doesn't really tell the story of how the weather was, but it tells the story at least of how I enjoyed it, and it was just one of those great moments that I really got a bit of a kick out of, so that's that guy there. I shall keep going, boys and girls. Okay, so Toti, I only noticed today because I was seeing, I absolutely love this image. We were obviously there together, but I noticed a little person on the right side there as well. I can confirm it's not me.
It's Paul Byrne.
It's Paul Byrne.
It's Paul Byrne. Okay, classic.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about the image, where it was, techie bits, all that stuff.
Faroe Islands.
Okay. Awesome.
And this location is probably one of the most recognizable locations in all of Faroes because it's stunning. You've been there, and actually last year, Peter, we took the boat out there, and we went through that hole in the rock in that stack there. It was quite spectacular. That
big walk to get to the position you're in.
In this case, we had to walk a little bit because we did the boat ride. On there, but we couldn't land the boat because there's no harbor to dock the boat. So we had to dock the boat a little bit further away, and then we had to walk in, like it's just an hour walk or something. But nevertheless, I think this is probably one of the best light I've got there. Been there 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, light's amazing as well.
And I kind of deliberately like to have the person in this image just to give it a sense of scale, because it's like the landscape there is just so grand.
Yeah, I think the person definitely does that, because when we're looking at pictures of it, and I have pictures of the stack, of course, myself. A lot of them are like shot at straight onto it with a 14mm lens, and you don't get a sense actually when you're there that arch is imposing. It's incredible. So I love the person in it in terms of the scale. And actually, when I viewed the image on full screen earlier, because I've seen the image before on social media and I saw it, via the FEP video and all that sort of stuff. But this, for me at least, is you can really see it. If
I remember right, I think the sea stack that is behind there, I can't remember if it's like 50 meters tall.
Okay, huge. What's it called? Do they have a name, these stacks?
Drangarnir.
I won't repeat that.
And the one behind is called Tintholmur.
Any techie stuff on that image, Thor? Is it? It's obviously long exposure. You said it was a blend.
It's a blend. It's a faster shot for the person, because obviously I would like to have the person sharp as possible, and then just blend it for the sunset, and then if I remember it right, a little bit longer exposure for the ocean, and then just all smashed together in Photoshop.
Yeah, awesome. Awesomeness. Okay, let's keep motoring along. Okay, Daragh, aka Daragh. You are up next, sir. Tell us a bit about it.
So this is again in Lake Baikal, and I guess it's demonstrating the road situation here. There was, they used this particular vehicle out in Lake Baikal, and in particular in Siberia, called a WAZ, and it's a military prescription vehicle. It's kind of like a tank, like a Russian tank, and it's a 4-wheel drive. I wouldn't say it's built for comfort, but it's built for stability and built for kind of functionality of crossing the lake. They all have their little diesel heater in them, so it's always going and you're warm inside. In fact, it's a little bit of a thing some of the time of kind of, can you turn the heat down, turn the heat off, turn it on, because the lads there, they like it hot, and then every time you get in, it'll be like blasting out this hot air. Anyway.
After there, having been in Russia with Daragh this year, is that they are inclined to have the heating up quite extensively in the vans, and they almost look at you with disdain that when you'd suggest that the heating needs to go down.
Yeah, but they are cool looking vehicles, and they look great on the ice. So this picture this is another one of these trees, if you like, and in this particular one, they've drilled a hole in what is a kind of a mini hummock. The hummocks are when there's pressure in the actual ice itself and it forces sections of the ice to come up and it cracks it and forces bits up. These become hummocks. And this is only a single one, so it's not like you can come to areas where it's vastly, like hundreds and thousands of hummocks everywhere. But this is just a single one coming up. What's that?
Dude, just on what a hummock actually is, because when I first went to Baikal, I'm sorry to say I didn't know what a hummock was. The hummock is this blue piece of ice that's brooding up through the surface of the ice that's created by pressures and like stuff that Daragh was talking about. But yeah, this blue area, that's the hummock. Sorry, dude, keep going.
No, that's cool. No, that's fair. So like this is a kind of cool one. They've drilled a hole in the hummock and then down to the main body of the ice as well. Planted their tree. And I saw a kind of a caravan, if you like, of wowsers going off into the distance, and they always keep a fair distance apart in case one goes into the ice. There's that whole safety issue, and so they're nicely spread out, going off into the distance, as well as having kind of again more minimal sort of foreground with the telling a bit of a story.
No, it's awesome, awesomeness. Okay, so I am up next. So this, well, you're supposed to ask me some bloody questions, lads. What's going on?
I recognise it. It looks like a kind of a place that I've been to. Where is it, Peter?
So this is actually a still that I pulled from the introduction of Toy Story.
You've been planning that.
I actually haven't. This came spontaneously to me. Yeah, it's the beautiful in Mont Saint Michel. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but this was in the kind of higher scoring images for me. It wouldn't have been, my choice among some of the other images that were in, but we'll come to that a bit later. But Nonetheless, it was a stunning morning. We just had like perfect reflection, and then the mist came in at just the right moment.
The mist.
Yeah, okay, let's do a survey. What do you prefer, mist or northern lights? Daragh?
Mist.
Thor?
Mist. Because basically it's so windy in Iceland, we don't get mist that often. It happens every now and then, but we don't get that often.
You get a lot of wind though. If wind was your favorite thing, Iceland's a good place to go to.
I would say so.
What you do get though is, I guess, the difference just in terms of thinking about it. You do get like a low cloud and things are in fog, but the mist is rising from the ground where the fog is coming from the sky.
And it comes in calmness.
Yes, so that's what kind of works, I guess, with this picture, is that it, gets rid of the stuff at the bottom and just creates this extra bit of minimalism.
It's reflecting in a bit of water there that's really calm. Is that very deep water there, Peter, or what's going on there?
I have to say the water is insane. There's I think when we were there, it was about a 14 meter tide. Was that 14 meters? And then it's the change. I think it's getting down to like 3 or something. So you're having like a 10 meter shift in the height of the tide.
It's mad, isn't it?
Just insane. And realistically, where you're looking at there, those banks on the left and the right, that's probably 3 meters or something. That fills up in about 15 minutes.
Jesus.
Once it grows, because it breaks the barrier, it breaks the kind of levee, if you like, or whatever. It's got some sort of system, a wall system, that it has to come over it, and then it just fills up in
Oh, God. Yeah, I've never been there. So this is in France, right?
France, yeah.
Yes, Normandy, yeah. Mont Saint Michel.
I like the way you've held on to the reflection of the steeple the steeple reflection, and everything else is kind of disappearing.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm glad you like it. Anyway, so that's that's northern France. So I'm going to keep going, guys, and open up one of. I think
it follows all your pastels as well, doesn't it?
Well, I think it is. So it is, I guess, an interesting thing if we just. Let's circle back on that in the end, actually, as our styles. So I'm going to jump into the next one here. So this is Toti's. I absolutely love this image.
Thank you.
I was going to say it was my favorite, but then I thought back to your Alderafos, and it's hard to knock that baby. But
it's an unusual perspective, isn't it, of this particular location?
It is. This is obviously like Reynistrákar, which like probably most people who come to Iceland, they go to visit them, and it's like, but normally from the ground, like from the beach side. In this particular case, I was leading a workshop when I shot this image, and we drove up to the top of the island and shot it from above. It's kind of like give you a bird's eye view of this, and I think it's a 6-minute exposure.
Okay.
It was actually a pretty good day, not that windy, but yeah.
You needed 6 minutes. You needed to not be that windy.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah. And I like just the triangular shape when you look at them from above.
Yeah.
And yeah, not much to say about this image.
Well, why did you turn it to black and white?
Except it's a black and white. It's not in color.
Yeah, it's unusual. So, what was your decision making to change it over?
Just thought it would suit the image better than color image, to be honest. I can't remember how the color version looks like. I have it somewhere on my computer, but I think black and white suits this image a lot better than color.
Okay, yeah, it works.
Contrast and the toning in it, to me is amazing. Like, so if we kind of look in this area here, we have this lighter part and then this darker part, and light and dark. There's amazing depth. I think that's something that's being discussed more and more in landscape photography in terms of training, and it's something I've always been doing to my images. But I guess it's I think it's been discussed more in terms of depth. And really what people are talking about when they say that is transitions between light areas and dark areas. And that's what brings the eye through the image. So, Thor has the white around the edges of the sea stack are nice and light. And then we have, of course, another transition here from a dark area to a light area. We also have the overarching shape of a triangle in the foreground, which he's talking about. But then if you think about it, we have another triangle here. We have another triangle here.
We have a lot of triangles.
Yeah.
But like on a technical aspect, although I have to say that there is a little bit of like this white spots of crashing waves on either side of the sea stacks that I edited out because like I just wanted to keep it as simple as possible.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's one thing. But yeah, I agree with you. It's like a lot of triangles and yeah, I really like this composition because every time like you have a like a subject that is, you can say, overshot, because everybody goes there. When you get something different and different perspective and just something different from that, different take on that location, like it's always good.
Yeah, satisfying for sure.
Did you tell me that there's a problem getting to this location now?
It is nowadays, yes. It is nowadays. There is actually a road up there, but it's closed.
And presumably, Toti, seeing as you have the shot already, you wouldn't encourage anyone to go up there anyway.
You can hike up there. There's no problem. It will take you it will take me about 45 minutes, probably 1.5 hours for you guys.
How's your knee?
No, probably I'll be with you now. No, it's the road. They had to close down the road because somebody went up there in the middle of the winter and he like slid off the road and rolled the car down. And luckily nobody died. But yeah, I think there was the right decision they made to close off the road.
He rolled the car down onto the coast, down into the water. No. Down. It rolled down the hill of the mountain on the other side. The other side, okay. Bloody hell!
I do have a recollection of being stuck trying to get up there, Thor. I think it was one of our first workshops together, and normally I'm putting the chains on and dragging you out of the crap, but in this situation, I think you may have been towing me out of being stuck.
Possibly.
Just for a change. Listen, lads, that's amazing to kind of have that bit of review for me anyway, just talking to you about the images and getting some more feedback. But I wanted to try and introduce, I guess, another aspect to this discussion. And what I was going to try and introduce was, these images that we've just looked at are images that have had like a decent score in a competition. And, people enter competitions all the time, and sometimes we are confused by the results, I guess is a fair way to look at it. You have it at the end, you think, oh my God, how did they not see that? That was incredible. And, then you get something that scores really high, and you go, that was crap. Why did they like that? So I guess I wanted to bring that discussion just on a little bit, if we can, between the three of us, and then also just to highlight a couple of the other images that were in the running as such, but either didn't score as well or did score as well. Just to bring that whole concept of subjectivity. I think really just wanted to make that point as well, in the context that, sometimes people are disappointed in, competitions and competition results, and just wanted to communicate it's not necessarily a bad reflection or a good reflection on you all the time. It's subjective, and that's
it is.
So what do you guys have any specific thoughts on that subjectivity competitions?
Well, from my perspective is that I think it's very hard just in general to compete in any type of art form, whether it is music or painting or photography or something, because it's very subjective to the person who is judging this contest. And as you know, I've been a judge for you, Peter, for several times, and I don't think it's always fair to the one who doesn't get top 3, to be honest, because they're like most images are like many images that I review nowadays is like they're stunning.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's so, and it comes down to that bit of taste, right? Like, I'm guessing that we can say, there's a certain level that you can get to with your imagery, and then a lot of it comes down to some sort of subjectivity and taste and stuff.
And taste, yes.
Taste, yeah.
The lap of the gods, the lap of the judging gods.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add on that, Daragh?
Well, no, I totally agree. It's like it is when you're, and it's not just on taste. It could be timing, and depending on the mood of the person who's making the decision on the day. You just could be in the mood to see something, a seascape, or you could be in the mood to see, and that could sway the actual judging depending on where they're coming from at that particular moment and mood that they're in. I know for myself it can be like that. So I try to be balanced when I'm judging and try to be fair about which ones are getting. And I would think it is as fair as I can be, but it is still my taste.
Yeah. So, I guess I think we all kind of agree on that, because I think in terms of us reviewing some images from our own point of view that have been successful in this. The way I think about it, at least, is like, that's great, but move on quickly. Don't blow your own trumpet too much about it, or don't let the, get some ego from it or something like that. But equally, when you get knocked back, which we all do in these things all the time as well, is, not to also go wild of, so it's a balance thing. So just in that context, I'm going to pull up a couple of other images that we had entered that we either thought would do better or we were surprised that they did as well. So I'm just going to pull up a couple of those, and I think my ones are in the line first. So we'll just go with that, if that's okay, fellas. And then we'll come back to it. Yeah. So this is an image of mine. It's from Montenegro. It was like some insanely beautiful light that morning. I thought, again, I guess I love the streaks, of mist coming through. There's a pattern emerging, and the simplicity of it. And I thought it was a really strong image. I thought it was stronger than the Mont Saint Michel image, for example. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering what you lads think.
I would put this as a stronger image as well. I mean, I was there for this as well. So, and I was going to comment on this with one of my own ones as well, but it was an absolutely stunning morning. We'd been struggling with the light for the 5 or 6 days, we hadn't been getting mist and all. So this was by far the best shoot we had. And I think my emotion anyway, with a lot of this imagery was so high, so strong. The moments were just so amazing. Seeing the mist and the light coming through.
Yeah, but even, sorry, dude, to cut over you, but just to forget about that for a second, if I can ask Thor, because Thor wasn't there. So I want an objective opinion.
Okay. Yeah, well, just to finish my point, was that I think emotions can tie you to an image as well.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Agree. I would have to say, Peter, that this image is, for example, and this kind of like goes across the whole thing, at least the images that I submitted, they were like 2 different types of images. And this one is like totally different from your 3 highest scoring images. Like all of them were very subtle and very like high key, whereas this one has a lot more contrast and more mood to it.
Yeah.
And personally, this one like resonates with me a little bit better, and I really love this image. It's and I think this should have done better, to be honest.
Okay. So I'm gonna keep on this theme if I can, and just look at a couple of my images in the context. So here's one also that actually was quite far down in terms of the scoring. And this for me was probably my favorite image last year, and it was an image that finished in the top 50 in the Pano Awards. It was an image that was got me first place in the IPA, the International Photography Award subcategory. So, like, what do you lads think of this versus the other high key ones, for example?
You want to go first, Thor?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I like it. I mean, to me, it's not as high key. It's not as subtle because the red hut makes it jump out. Plus, the way you flash and frozen the snow falling has maybe to me makes it less high key, or maybe not high key, but not as subtle. There's definitely strong points to this, whereas Mont Saint Michel is subtle the whole way across. Even the beach with the storm and the hail is subtle. The way you process it is. Whereas I think there's some strong elements in the snow and the red hut. So to me, it's strong. It's a very strong image for those reasons. I guess it's still described as a high key one, but it doesn't feel subtle. It feels strong.
What would you say? Would you just say then just exclude the high key discussion and exclude the those apart? And if we just do this for a second, just so we can again have this sort of comparison, and we're essentially critiquing ourselves here, really. If we open up just these 2 images and we take this picture and we take this picture, which image do you think is stronger?
The woman, I think this one is much stronger. The Lofoten one. This is Lofoten, right?
Yeah.
I think it's stronger. I prefer this.
Toti?
I think like just it is a stronger image just in terms of you have dominant color in this one, whereas you didn't have it in the other one. And this image resonates with me quite a bit as well. And I'm not sure what I can say about this, but
Yeah, no, that's I guess what I'm trying to figure out for myself, and for anyone that's listening to this and stuff, is just to show this point of subjectivity.
Yeah.
And I think that's point in case like that, and something similar, Toti. If I can open up one of your images, because I know you were talking about having a some feeling this way about this particular image. Is that a fair comment?
I just really, really like this image myself, and I was kind of like shocked that it didn't come in higher compared to the other images that I've submitted. I submitted about 8 images, I think. 6 of them made it to the were scored, if you can say so. This one was actually one of them, but I thought that this would do a lot better, to be honest. And if we can go back and I was making a point earlier on, I submitted images that have 2 different feelings to them. One of them, there were a few of my favorites that are all kind of like subtle, I would say. not as like as you were mentioning earlier, like with this color punch and stuff like that. And as you know, we often joke about it, like the Grand Vista, the color punch. That's the image that sells the tours. The other ones are like kind of like you hang on the wall.
Mm.
Yeah. So this is probably something along those lines in terms of being subtle and gentle and that sort of stuff.
Basically, yeah. And I thought this one would come in higher as well.
Yeah. And that's another one Toti had submitted. So that's actually quite an interesting thing, Thor, just looking at those few, just having like the deep dark blues versus, much lighter tone. Obviously this coming through. I mean, from my end, looking at it, if, in terms of finishing higher, and being subjective about it, I guess, if I'm critiquing you now, if I'm allowed.
No worries.
You guys have got to give out about me. So look, if I'm looking at these two images of yours, for me, these are definitely higher in my estimations. I prefer these two personally. But if for me, I would, I would feel that I prefer the Kirkjufell image. So that's the Pharaoh's image. Okay. Yeah. And that's the Kirkjufell image, guys. I prefer the Kirkjufell image to the Pharaoh's image.
Yeah.
Personally, just the spacing, and I think the crack is just so amazing in the foreground there. And I'm guessing you've probably focus stacked it because it just looks pin sharp all the way through and stuff. So
it's focus stacked.
Yeah, again, it's just like, who knows? Who knows the people?
Yeah. When you see, like without getting into some, there was some images in there that I thought should have been higher than other ones, and lots of the photographers.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of just comes back again to that subjectivity thing of, if you do okay in these things, great, move on quickly. If you don't do okay, of course you can analyze and take things on board, but like, don't take it to heart either.
So I slept really well after the awards, even though I didn't come in higher than fifth.
What can you do with the beers?
It may have helped.
Well, the wine and when I moved on to the whiskey, I was finished. I couldn't. I had to go.
So just for anyone that's watching this at home, I just put the context in that because of obviously all the horrendous stuff that's happening in the world at the moment and the no traveling and all that stuff, that we weren't able to go to the award ceremony, which was supposed to be in Rome. So there was a live streaming event, or not a live streaming event. They created a video and did like a mini award ceremony. So myself, Daragh and Thor sat down together. We video linked. We had a ridiculous time trying to sync up the videos to be on the same time, and we may have drunk too much beer, too much wine, and may or may not have had a cloudy following morning. Anyway, so Daragh, was there anything sort of in regard just from your own take and stuff with
well, I do think that probably would be worthwhile mentioning. Like, it was actually two of the so if you bring up Gone Fishing there,
okay,
Gone Fishing was actually one of the ones that, that actually was in the top three. But I thought, I'm surprised that it was up there, because, or at least why this one and number 59, the two of the fishing notes, they were so similar that I was surprised that they'd have finished so close together, and they wouldn't have been, marked one down a little bit just to bring one of them forward. And they were both up there. I love Gone Fishing as well. It's got a similar field, shot in the same way, same morning even, just a different horse and a different field.
One is, this is number 59, Daragh.
That's number 59, yeah.
And that's Gone Fishing. And which one did you say finished higher?
Number 59.
Okay, so this finished higher than this guy. And again, subjectivity and, not complaining or whatever, in my opinion, I prefer this image, which is Gone Fishing, right?
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah, I probably do as well. I think Gone Fishing is simpler and cleaner. I like them both because they've all got a nice feel to them. But yeah, the gone fishing one is a nice color in gone fishing as well. Nice subtle greens and kind of whites and blues in it as well. So I really like gone fishing for that. I mean, it's shot in the exact same way as the other one, the same morning, so you've got the same kind of minimal feel to it. But it's the same sort of shot, and that's why I thought they mightn't have put the two of them so close together.
Interesting.
The other image.
So yeah, keep going. Sorry, I'm not sighing. I'm just like, you know, in terms of giving people something solid, essentially what we're just saying is this is all subjective. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
the other image that I thought would do really well was Standing Strong, and I. You know, maybe if I had another go at it, I might process it slightly differently. But I still like it. But I wonder, that feeling that I have for it being a strong image, this was definitely what I was talking about earlier, about an emotional attachment to it. This winter, the lake itself had some freezing going on in the early parts of the winter, and then there'd been lots of storms, and it broken it up and made lots of rough ice all over the place, which meant it was clean ice. There wasn't snow on it, but it wasn't smooth like this. And this is the first time I saw it, and it was getting to a bit of a sunset, a bit of cloud cover, and I was just like, I was so excited about it that I just thought this was amazing. The moment of experiencing it was so powerful for me that lasts. And I came back on it. That's the image. And so I was surprised to see it didn't make it into my top three, you know. But I
so let me do the critique on this as such, Daragh. Okay, let me open 2-3 images at the same time. Okay, and let me field Thor's opinion. So this one, Thor, or this one?
The first one, definitely.
And I do prefer the first one as well, dude. Like I do. You know,
I love the first one. I love the first one too. And I kind of, the more I look at it, the more I spend time with, the more times pass from the other one. I probably prefer the first one myself now. But when I submitted it, I probably preferred this one.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you.
That kind of brings you back, Daragh, to the state of how you're feeling when you're like either submitting the images or are you judging the images? Well, like,
yeah.
What is your mood like?
Well, look, I'm going to probably round it up there, and I guess wanted to say thanks for doing the discussion between us all. You know, hopefully it was in some way interesting to people. I guess what I take out of it at least is hopefully you guys enjoy the pictures that we're going to come to. I'm going to just do a little reel of them next. You're going to see them. So hopefully you enjoy the pictures. We're certainly happy to have achieved well in the competition, but we're also aware of the subjectivity of the whole thing and how much great imagery there is out there all over the place. So we're not celebrating from the high heavens with this, I guess, is what I'm saying. But we're very honoured to have the three of us together. We're also good mates and we work together and stuff. So it's kind of fun, and we got a virtual night in the booze out of it. So
well, yeah,
could be worse.
Could be worse.
So thanks, fellas, and I'm going to stop recording this at least now, and we shall catch you for some non-virtual beer drinking and photography very soon.
All right. Thanks. Good luck.